It was October 5th, 1953, and we had been rapidly approaching the great city of New York. That night was the highly anticipated Game 6 of the 1953 World Series between the New York Yankees and the Brooklyn Dodgers. After many hours on the train, we finally saw the bright lights of Grand Central Station. Wow, what a sight!
We had just hopped off our train and we were looking to treat ourselves to something New York City does best, fine dining. The Grand Central Oyster Bar is known by people all around the area as the place with vaulted tile ceilings. With its great atmosphere and workers, you know the food has to be outstanding. I highly suggest the Real Maine Lobster Stew. The cost of such meal maxed out around $3.50, and that was for one fancy spread. Just like in 1953, the Oyster Bar still touts that it hauls in the daily catches of the freshest seafood, and the fact that it is always superbly cooked, delightfully seasoned, just the way you like it best.
After dinner at the Grand Central Oyster Bar, we headed to Yankee Stadium for Game 6 of the World Series. The streets were jam-packed with crazy and excited baseball fans, starving for another World Series title. When we finally entered Yankee Stadium, we immediately felt the energy of a sold-out crowd of 62,370 people. The game was extremely close and nerve-wracking. The game was tied 3-3, entering the bottom of the ninth.
With the 2 runs that tie up the ball game 3-all. Both bums never give up, and the Dodgers hailed their hero who came up with the equalizer. Ninth inning for the Yanks. Bauer on second and Billy the Kid Martin, most dangerous Yankee ball, facing pitcher Clem Levine. Billy hits it for a sizzling single into center, and that's the blow that spells a 4-3 victory as Bauer comes in with a winning score and pandemonium rocks Yankee Stadium.
The place erupted with excitement. I swear the ballpark was shaking, it was so loud.
The game may have been over, but our night had hardly begun. We were all too excited to even think about finding a hotel, so instead we headed to the most popular place in town, Toots Shor. Toots Shor was a restaurant and lounge owned and operated by Bernard Toots Shor on 51st Street in Manhattan. Its oversized circular bar was a New York landmark. Mr. Shor was close friends with celebrities such as Frank Sinatra, and just about every other important celebrity from the 1950s went there as well. While the food at Toots Shor was known to be nothing fancy, just standard American sports bar food, such as shrimp cocktail, steak, and baked potatoes, the place was always swarming with celebrities. Once we had arrived at the restaurant, we were astounded to see that half of the Yankee players had already beaten us there, including Yogi Berra and Mickey Mantle. We sat down at the bar and weren't even able to order before none other than Frank Sinatra and the rest of the Rat Pack just walked right in and sat down next to us. "Give 'em all around on me, Toots," shouted one of the Yankee players. And well, one round turned into 2, turned into 12, and after that, I'm not sure any one of us can really tell you what happened.
So we woke up the next morning not having a clue where we were after a very long and rough night. I looked around a little dazed and realized we were in the heart of Central Park next to Turtle Pond. I then looked around and saw DJ and Zach, but Tom and Tyler were nowhere to be found. Then I heard, "Hey guys!" And there was Tom. The only person we were missing was Tyler. We 4 got together and tried to remember the last places we saw. All we remembered was seeing the Museum of Natural History.
Slowly walked to the west side of Central Park and across the street to the museum. We started off at the dinosaur exhibit when I suddenly remembered going to the planetarium. We got a map and realized it was right next door. Then we walked to the Hayden Planetarium. We were looking at the stars and snooping around for Ty.
After the planetarium, we all decided that we needed some food.
We were in a hurry and didn't want to spend too much money, so we decided to grab a little bite to eat in this little hole-in-the-wall restaurant called White Castle. They were known for their 5-cent burgers. The whole time, I was thinking to myself, how good could a burger be if it only cost 5 cents? But I tell you what, it was one of the most refreshing meals. We topped up the burgers with a couple of small fries and a couple colas, and after that, our bellies were full.
We took the Central Park subway across the East River to Coney Island because Colin had remembered puking on a roller coaster. After eating a lunch of funnel cakes and hot dogs and riding the roller coasters, we still had seen no sign of Tyler. We headed back to Manhattan on the subway to the last site we remembered, the Empire State Building on 5th Avenue.
We were walking up to the Empire State Building when we heard...
Guys, I'm up here.
We looked up and there he was. We had finally found him.
There's a party on Fifth Ave. If you tryna go, I can be there in like 20. I'm hungry like I'm running.
We started walking back to the Algonquin Hotel and decided to stop in at Chambord Restaurant because Tyler was so hungry.
By the early 1950s, the Chambord, located at 803 3rd Avenue, was called New York's premier restaurant. Sober and refined in decor, with leather banquets and a glassed-in kitchen, Chambord was noted for discreet service and the finest French traditions. The Chambord was known both as America's finest and most expensive restaurant in some magazines. A meal for two could cost as much as $50. To be honest, it wasn't worth spending that much money. But hey, I can officially say that I went to New York's premier restaurant.
After we had dinner, we slowly but surely walked back to the hotel. We got there and we headed straight to our rooms for a much-needed night of sleep.
We woke up the next morning and needed something to eat. It was about lunchtime, so we headed to the famous baseball player Al Shack's restaurant on 52nd Street. We had heard about their $1.95 steaks and had to try it. It was a quality meal that filled us up. After lunch, we headed down Park Avenue and up 50th Street to the Radio City Music Hall to see the famous Rockettes show. After seeing some awesome dancing and singing, we headed to the LaGuardia Airport to catch our flight back to St. Louis. It was sad to see the trip was ending, but New York had taken its toll on us. Once we arrived at the airport, we headed to the Trans World Airlines terminal and hopped on our plane to St. Louis. It was sad flying away from New York City, but it was definitely a trip we will remember forever.